and is Andy Warhol's art going to be hanging 100 years from now? Is it going to be worth as much? Maybe not. Maybe those shapes and colors he uses is going to die out and he didn't fix them enough or something. Or maybe because he did famous people, they like him now, but 100 years from now, who's Elizabeth Taylor, you know? You got to remember all that is shaping how pictures are staying here, and so we don't know for sure if his pictures are going to be there either, because he's one artist that I can't say does really a good job with visual shapes and colors. He seems a bit off in a way, so we'll have to see. That'll be interesting in 100 years if people perceive him as I see him, comparing him to, like, I'm comparing him to the best though, Picasso, Rembrandt, Renoir, whoever, you know, Matisse, Giotto. These are the best, you know, Van Gogh. These are the names I just named are all right on the very top, and they got the top pictures to prove it, and it's hard to bust in on that crowd. And there's middle of the road artists like Gainsborough's, for instance, Gainsborough, and he did wonderful portraits and everything, but he'll never really be a top name artist. He's a good artist, and so maybe Andy Warhol will be in that Gainsborough category, a good artist, but never really hit the very, very top, although his pictures do sell for millions and millions of dollars even right now. But you know, let's give it another 50 years maybe, you know. All artists takes a while, and so here you got this artist right here in the Twin Cities, and people say, well, can art be done in the Twin Cities? Well, if you're doing visual relationships and you're keeping all your things all together like that, yes, I do believe you can do it anywhere in the world. In fact, if you have a certain discipline or to your own work, so art could be coming out anywhere. And the important thing is, look at it visually instead of looking at the literal meanings and listening to the literal talk. That means nothing. None of that means anything. The only thing, when they start talking about the shapes and colors and do they work or don't they work and comparing it to other pictures, then you know people are really talking about how the picture's working and is it working. Because even the best portraits, if they're not arranged very well, people aren't going to want to see them years from now, because those people, even in the portraits, won't be known. So, you know, some of these portrait painters, the famous ones, made a lot of people famous simply because people are still looking at their portraits and they know who they were on the portrait, and so they became immortalized. So, you know, you kind of have to laugh sometimes, because you think, you know, like you see the president's portraits at the White House, and each time they pick an artist and that, but usually they don't pick the very top artists in the country to do those. So they're getting a good rendition of the president, but maybe not a good rendition of really good art in those. And so, but who could choose it? I mean, who knows about that? So you can't blame the president for not picking a great artist. Well, the president isn't spending a lot of time finding out about art, and so he wouldn't probably be able to know who the best art. He would have to listen to someone else. But you see, very few times would they pick someone who's really an artist of visual relationships and of science like that. They'll pick more of a, you know, more of an average type artist who can do a good picture, a nice arrangement, but not a dynamic arrangement like a real artist would do. They wouldn't take a lot of chances. They wouldn't, you know, they're going to have to make it look like the president, of course, but still, you could still do that and make a good picture, as different artists did in the old days, certainly. And so when people judge art and put art together, it's very seldom they can get to that real art, because who are their experts and who are the people they're listening to, and what are they saying? And the point of the matter is, they have to be saying something concrete, or what are they saying? You know, again, there's many reasons to like a picture and hang it on your wall, but let me tell you, after a while you can hang any picture on your wall, but after a year or 2 years, are you still looking at it? Is that picture still interesting? Well, a great picture is always interesting. It stays interesting for 10 years, 20 years on your wall. And that's the best way to judge a picture when you like it. How long can it hang on your wall? And the only way it's going to hang on your wall and create interest after a while is not so much the subject in that, it's going to be the arrangement that holds you steady. And when you see a steady arrangement in something that's concrete, you're going to see something of the real artist who did that picture below that picture. And you're going to feel that, and that's what you're going to feel, that visual experience, the same visual experience that they were really feeling. They want you to feel just a little bit of that. And that's how you even know that artist. Every artist, you can even know them how, even through their visual arrangements on their pictures, of who they are. I mean, they tell you who they are through that. So that's what you look for in a picture, someone telling you that. And that's how you feel akin to it, because you're a human, they're a human, and you're reacting in the same way to this order, this unseen order that takes place in a picture, and an order that fits the picture regardless of what it is or what. There's no excuses. You can do a great abstract painting, or you can do a great visual, a painting that's a picture of someone, but you have to pay attention to the shapes and colors, and then you have to pay attention to the shapes and colors that you like and use, and put that all in there. And the more you know design and shapes and colors and how they work, and the more your sensitivity is to that, the better you are able to project your own personality through that picture. And that's really all you're doing. Pictures become almost all you after they're done, even more you than the person you did, because of that arrangement. They tell you more about almost you and your visual likes than the person that you're actually looking at. When you look at a Rembrandt portrait, I mean, you don't know those people. You can hardly tell anything, but you can really tell what he liked visually and all kinds of stuff just by looking at it. And you can with many different artists, just like that, if they pay attention to their compositions. And it all sounds so simplified, yet that is the only common denominator that fits all the great pictures. All the great pictures have order, and you can even see that order, and it fits the same order that you see everywhere around you in shapes and colors and how they work. They all have principles, and they all have a certain psychological principle once you put them on a picture, for instance, or a canvas. I'm not a sculpture person because you have to work in the round, and it seems a lot more complicated. To me, it's complicated enough just to arrange these arrangements on pictures and then still do what I like. But when you're just doing what you like, and there's no pressure, and you don't care, and you're not necessarily selling anything, you can do really good things because you have no pressure on you whatsoever. You're just doing what you like. And that's it. And that's always the best way to paint, and that's the best way everyone likes to paint, rather than doing like commissions and stuff like that, because that makes you feel the most free, just to do anything you want. So in a way, being an artist free of all the galleries, the teaching and all that is a great thing, because it frees you just to sit and do what you want. And in the end, you have to cast aside all the schools and all the professors and all the other art, and you got to go back home and just do your own art. And most people, that's when they have the hardest time. So most artists that start out, the attrition rate is incredible. They can't keep it up because of many reasons. Some artists will get married and have families. There's just so many reasons not to do art, and some of them are very good reasons, I understand. But very few people can keep it going once they head out of school and into the real world. And you might not sell, you might not do anything, especially if you're working against the grain. Maybe you're not going to do that slick art that's hanging in the galleries and all that, or you're not going to do the kind of art that they're going to hang in the local museum as modern art. So you're gonna go against the grain, and so you're just going to do these pictures. So hopefully you're doing them for yourself and hanging them up. And if you can't do that, that's when basically you finally fade and don't do art. So most people I went to art school with, for instance, years and years ago, do not do art anymore. And like I said, it's not a crime. I'm just saying the attrition rate is huge, because in the end you have to come back home as an artist most of the time, because there's only a few artists out there really selling for a lot of money and making a living compared to how many people are actually painting. So you can't always say, I'm going to be one of those artists, because you might not be for one reason or another. So in the end, you go home and can you just paint all by yourself, and can you just hang these pictures and like them? So there you have it. I didn't want to tire you out too much with too many things that don't mean anything, so I had to get to the point quick for everybody. And it's something I think everyone can use, and whether you're a curator or just someone doing pictures and all, or you're an art historian, it's something to give us all something to think about, I hope, and something to give aims for, something where we can all talk about something commonly about all this art and make a little bit sense of it. And that's all it's really about, a little bit of that. As far as my art is concerned, I'm just going to keep doing it, and I feel I'm doing it, and I'm happy with that, and there's no sense in taking a tour of my art. I didn't really want you to take a tour of my art necessarily. I'm a visual artist that does representational work, and I do really good compositions, and I pay attention to all that, and I have all my own reasons I do my little pictures, and they're my pictures, and I don't know if anyone should really like them, some of the portraits more than me or less than me, but I'm just hoping I made that arrangement that I talked about before, and made that arrangement so good and dynamic, because I like looking at them. I like looking at them a lot, and I feel like I can hang that picture next to any good artist, and it will hang there and look good, and that's how I feel. So I must end this on a positive note. Whatever direction you're going with your art or whatever, you can't go wrong as long as you're having fun and just doing it. Go ahead and do whatever you want. You all don't have to be a famous artist. I'm only talking about the very top people. I'm talking about doing it the way the very top artists did it. You might not want to do that. You might not even want to look at art that way or experience that way. But the top artists were pretty scientifically oriented, and even if they didn't know the science, somehow they were able to do it without knowing. Make that visual arrangement so perfect and dynamic to fit their own personalities and to fit the age they're in. They were able to do that for some reason, and that's where the magic took place, and that's why we look at that same magic no matter where we go in a museum, and we see it, and we have an impressionist show, and millions of people show up to look at all those paintings because visually they are so solid and good, and that's the final statement. So enjoy your art as I enjoy mine, and good luck to all.